And this little video is just to help you set up a table and draw a graph in Excel. What I've done is I've started drawing my table already. As you can see here, I've typed in water volume with mils. I've typed in first attempt range in meters, second attempt range in meters, third attempt range in meters. I've still got to put in average range, in meters as well. But it doesn't look very pretty at this stage. I've also got these water volumes down here, 100, 250, 500, 750, 1000 and 1100. But it looks a little bit messy. We'll deal with that in a minute. We've got to put a title on as well, and I want the title to go across the top. So I'm going to highlight all these boxes across the top of my table. I'm going to click this little button here, which is called the Merge and Center. And I'm going to put my title on, which is Water Volume and Range of a 1.25 litre water rocket. Enter. And that's put that across the top of my table. It's centered them across those rows. But with these boxes here, I don't want the titles overlapping, so I need to do something about that. So what I'm going to do is going to highlight them. I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose Format Cells. That'll open up a window. I'm going to choose Alignment here. I'm going to make them centered horizontally and vertically, and also want to wrap the text as well. And I'm going to click OK, and that'll make everything nice and neat for me. I also want to put some borders on my table, so I'm going to highlight all these cells. I'm going to choose the border tool up here. I'm going to put in some thin borders. Then to make it look pretty, I'm just going to highlight it again. I'm going to put some thick borders around the outside and across the top row as well. Some more things you do to make it look nice. So you can also center the text in these boxes as well by clicking this little box here, and you can center it vertically too, if you like. Some people like making their headings a bit bolder and bigger. So I want to make it stand out a little bit. Unfortunately, making it too big means it goes off the edge, so I might just bring that back to normal size. Underlines, though, sometimes help. And then we have a nice set out table. All that's to do next is to start putting your values in, and you should have recorded your values yesterday. I'm not going to tell you the values now. It was your job to record them, but what I will do is just put some dummy values in so I can show you how to draw a graph. So I'm going to pretend we got 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters and 6 meters. And then we got 2 meters, 3 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters, 6 meters and 7 meters, and we did it again. We might have got 3 meters there, and that's the sort of data we got. Obviously you've got different numbers, you have to put your own numbers in. There is this box here called average. Now you can actually calculate the averages on your calculator, and that's fine, but Excel can actually calculate averages for you. So if you click on that first box and you press equals on the keyboard, it starts typing up here in this little formula bar, and it's going to be equals. We're going to type in average in capital letters and then open a bracket. Then we're just going to highlight those 3 numbers across there we're trying to find the average of. Going to close the bracket and press enter, and Excel has calculated for us that the average of 1, 2 and 3 is 2. What you can do now is click on that box again, so make sure you actually click on the 2, and you'll notice that down the bottom right hand corner the cell looks a bit different. There's a little tiny box there. If you put the mouse over that box, it changes this plus sign. What you can do is grab that then and drag that formula down, and it's copied that formula down for you. So it's actually calculated the averages for you. So 6.5 is the average of 6 and 7, for example. So all the averages have been done. Only bad thing is sometimes when you drag it down, it actually changes the formatting, so you might need to go back and just fix up your borders again. But now we've got our averages calculated, we've got our water volumes. We wanted to plot a graph. Now, there's a few ways of plotting a graph. You could just plot all your data, and that's fine, but I'm going to plot the average in my data. So I want to plot water volume and the range. So I'm going to click on the water volume heading, and then highlight all the numbers under that. I'm going to hold Control on the keyboard, very important. I'm holding down Control on the keyboard right now, and that lets me highlight a second column that's not next to my other column. So I've highlighted those 2 columns. Now I'm going to go up here to Insert, and I'm going to insert a scatter graph, like that one just there. And then I've got this interesting looking graph like this. I might just scroll that down a little bit. It hasn't got enough detail though to be a proper scientific graph, so I'm going to click on that again. I'm going to choose a chart layout that's actually got some axis titles in there for me. I don't need a key, so I can click on that key and press delete on the keyboard and get rid of that key. But I need to change my information because this graph is all about the range of a water rocket. And this down here, our independent variable, was the water volume, and that was in milliliters. And this here sometimes it can be tricky to edit on the side. That wasn't axis title, this was our range in meters. Obviously you'll have different numbers to me because I only put dummy numbers into my table. And now we've got a fairly neat and tidy graph showing the range of a water rocket. Your data won't look like this. You might have a strange curve. It might go up, it might point down. One thing you do is put a trend line on. There's a few ways of doing that. If you just want to put a simple line through your data, you double click on one of your data points. So double click, and you can choose to have a solid line, and you might choose it to be a smooth line, and you press close, and that just puts a line through your data. If it was more of a scientific experiment you're doing, you might not want that. Instead, you might take that off. Instead, you might right click on your data points and choose this thing called add trend line. And depending on the shape of your data, you might choose a different mathematical equation. If you think it's a straight line, you might choose linear. If you think it's a curve, you might choose polynomial. So let's just assume this one's a polynomial. And we can actually get the computer to fit a mathematical line to our data, and that might be useful to you. If it's a curve, it might go up and then come back down again, and you can use that line to then estimate where the maximum range would be from your data. So that's a nice little explanation of how to do a table and a graph in Excel.